On today's episode of PDubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at Retro Shooter's newest light gun, the RS3 Reaper, with a full sliding recoil 24-volt solenoid. The RS3 Reaper packs such a punch that anyone named Murphy better watch out.
Reap it, Murphy, you son of a bitch.
Okay, guys, we are back. Big shout out to Retro Shooter for sending me this gun for the purpose of review. Inside of the box they sent me was a brand new 24-volt power supply, as well as a brand new fire base that they sent me for connecting to PC. We're going to show you some PC game testing in this video. It's important to note that the power supply that comes with this gun, as well as the MX24, those are the power supplies you want to use, the 24-volt power supplies. When it comes to the power supplies for the original Retro Shooter handguns, you're going to want to trade that out for the new power supply that comes with these guns. You'll notice we have light bars, we have sliding toggle switches on one side, we have reload and pedal buttons built into the actual magazine on the side of the gun, as well as your typical A/B select buttons, start buttons, as well as the trigger button, as well as your analog stick. Also, the lens will fit the existing walleye lens that they do offer for people as well to get better tracking, as well as a button on the actual magazine release. You talk about girth, man. Check out the thickness on this cable, much thicker than their original Retro Shooter guns or Sinding gun cables. Taking a peek here, getting this set up to play on the Retro Shooter console or on your PCs is very, very simple. You just plug a Player 1 gun into USB 1 and the recoil cable into the Recoil 1, hit the power button on the fire base, and the gun powers on. You'll see some lights blink, and you're ready to go. Now, with that 24-volt solenoid recoil with the sliding action, as well as a rumble motor inside of the actual handle itself, it definitely gives you some pretty good immersion, and it actually feels better than any of these Sinding light guns that I own, as well as the existing Retro Shooter. And I love that this has automatic or semi-auto. All you have to do is flip the switch on the right-hand side of the gun to go from single shot to turn it off when you have it set in the middle, or flip it to the left for fully automatic. I mean, you legit can see my hand shaking when holding the trigger down. That's how badass of an effect it is, man. It's awesome. Take your screenshots now of everything this gun is capable of doing, including 4 different LED light modes, PC, mini PC, Raspberry Pi, Pandora Box 10th capability, works with Mamehooker, works with Launchbox, rumble motor. Everything you need to know about this gun is right here. Adjusting the LED lights on the gun on the fly are pretty simple to do. All you have to do is hold in the analog stick on the left-hand side of the gun for 5 seconds, and you notice that the gun LEDs have changed. Now we have this rainbow pattern versus the solid yellow that we had before. And of course, you could go ahead and hold the button in again for another 5 seconds and flip it back and forth if desired, or change to a different setting. Now, on the bottom of the gun barrel itself, you will notice that you have dip switches. So you could do all kinds of dip switch settings if you wanted to turn the rumble off, turn the motor off, turn the recoil effect off, as well as set up the guns for players 1, 2, 3, and 4, depending on your arcade setup. Go ahead and take your screenshots now. Here's what the dip switch settings will be for players 1 and player 2, as well as I also have another screenshot here showing you the dip switch settings for player 3 and player 4. Take your screenshots now. Depending on your setup, I only have one gun, one player, so that's all we're going to focus on. How does the Retro Shooter Reaper guns compare to the original handguns that Retro Shooter released before? Well, I had to go into my little storage room here. As you guys know, I'm remodeling my home, doing all kinds of remodeling. My game rooms are under renovation, so all these arcades right now are kind of in storage, but I managed to dig in, get to the Terminator cabinet where I have these guns installed, and I could immediately see the difference. The new Retro Shooter Reaper handguns are definitely much larger, 1.5 times larger, and they weigh twice as much. They're twice as heavy as this original Retro Shooter handgun, which, by the way, I ended up falling in love with the original ones over time. I appreciate them for what they are and for their price tag, but wow, if I had to choose now between that and saving and spending a little extra money for the Reaper, I'd get the Reaper. Now, for the purpose of gameplay testing, I'm going to actually use the launch box build that I have on a portable hard drive that I got from Retro Lizards Custom Arcades. I have a link for the video I did on this, as well as links to where you can get this drive for, it's a launch box, Techno Parrot, big box type build. It's got everything you want to play on it from G.I. Joel, as well as I even had to call G.I. Joel, said, hey man, got a couple questions on setting up the new gun, setting up the new gun ID and stuff on Launchbox, and he helped me through that. So big shout out to Joel for that kind of customer service. I was up and running in no time and having a blast. The gun tracking with 4 sensors is fantastic. That's right, you'll notice on the 4 corners of the TV monitor, I do have the 4 sensors set up. You're definitely going to want to use the 4 sensors set up. You could use the walleye lens if you want to from Retro Shooter. I don't have it in at this moment in time. It works just fine without it, but you could put it on for more accuracy if you want. And yes, although this isn't a light gun game, playing Star Wars arcade game with a light gun is actually totally possible and totally fun. It's important to note, if you have those Retro Shooter Pandora Box consoles with the built-in light gun games, yes, this light gun will work with that, so no stress there. We're just showing off this because we can show off Techno Parrot and some modern games, as well as a lot of these games like Operation Wolf and stuff that actually play on the Retro Shooter console if you have that console. And of course, I leave the crosshairs on during this stuff so you guys can keep an eye on the tracking, see how it goes. And also, I prefer to play with the crosshairs. And just like my last light gun video where I showed off playing some Terminator 2, I forgot that this particular version on this build, obviously it has the built-in crosshair, so I can turn off the Retro Shooter console crosshair, but I forgot to do it! So of course we have a ghosting crosshair. Don't hold that against me, please. I'll promise I turn that off before the next time I play this game. House of the Dead Crimson Dawn, anyone?
Shoot!
You okay? I'll pay you. Name the price. Hang on. The guy leave me alone. Things never work out for the clingy types.
As we fire up some Ninja Assault, what's really cool is, playing this on a bunch of different emulators, NES games, arcade games, Techno Parrot, MAME games, Naomi games, Sega model games, different various Sega model games, playing around on this build. This gun was really, really fun to play with, to play these games. And right now, Retro Shooter is going to be selling 2 guns for $195 plus shipping. You could also get a Pro package that's got 2 guns, the 4 sensors you need, 2 pedals, as well as the Firebase kits and the console for $240 for all that. Or you could go nuts, get $285 package where you get the actual MX-24 machine gun, as well as one of these Reaper handguns, the 4 sensors, the pedals, and all that stuff. I'll have this linked in the video description below. I mean, guys, that's pretty awesome deals. And these guns work better than the Sinden guns that I own. The Sinden guns are probably the best ones I have. I do have Gun for IR, but I'll be honest, hardly ever use it. Hardly ever use it. I don't know why. I just not a huge Gun for IR fan at this time. Now, with any product, there is always an opportunity for improvement. And in this case, if you are right-handed, it's going to be very easy for you to hold down the trigger and then press the reload button that is on the handle of the gun. Now, if you're left-handed, like me, keep in mind, 10% of the population's left-handed, you can't get to the reload button, at least the reload button as its default set up. Now, the good news is if you're using this on PC, Mamehooker, Launchbox, etc., we can just remap what buttons we use on the gun for what in the system. But when it comes to just remapping the button itself on the gun itself, all you have to simply do is unplug your light gun from any power source, go ahead and plug it in. While it's plugged in, hold down the button that is on the bottom of the magazine. Once you press and hold that down, you'll notice that the gun powers up, it blinks. Once it stops blinking and it's solid, well, now the reload button has been mapped to that bottom button on the very bottom of the gun. Now, this was huge for me personally because I am left-handed, and I did see the other guys' reviews, the other guys who had reviewed this handgun, and everyone who reviewed it was right-handed. So for them, like, this was a non-issue, but for me, this was a big issue because at first it was difficult to figure out, well, how am I going to hit the button on the side for the pedal and stuff? Right here, as you can see here, I'm just demonstrating for you guys that now the button for the pedal is on the bottom. Now I can hold the gun predominantly with my left hand, and now with either my ring finger or my pinky, I can simply press in the button on the very bottom of the gun when it comes to reloading, when it comes to the pedal option, reload option on a lot of light gun games. I struggled with a lot of light gun games because I had to play them right-handed at first until we figured out how to redo the mapping. This is a pretty badass light gun at a pretty fantastic price, but just wanted you guys to be aware of that issue, especially if you're left-handed like me. Keep that in mind when considering making your purchase. Again, once I mapped it to the bottom button, had no issues playing games. Hopefully you guys liked this product review. If you did, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up on the way out. Leave me your comments, feedback, reactions below. And as always, my dudes, thank you for subscribing.